Welcome to our Spain. Hi, Gaetano. How's it going?
It's going bueno, Tanya. Y tú?
Oh, muy bien. Yeah, well, it's still a little hot, but we're cool enough a little bit, and I'm loving that. But you haven't asked Spain for us today, right?
I do have an house Spain, and ironically, it goes with today's episode. So, my youngest daughter is been wanting a what is called a C curl. Do you know what a C curl is?
I do not. I'm sure I no. Tell me. Tell us all. Do we need to know?
Get Zena on the line because I'm sure she knows. So,
She probably does. Okay, share.
it's a permanent, but just for the tips of your hair, so they're constantly curling in. So it's not a
Oh,
full
okay.
perm from the roots down. It's just the end, so you have a little wave at the bottom of your hair.
Oh my God, this is starting to remind me of yesterday morning. So this is what I was doing to Zena's hair.
Oh, were you having to curl the bottom of
I
her
was
hair?
having to curl it very specifically in a certain direction. I'm like, what is going on? And how do you know so much about this? So this, I think, is what was happening.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, so you do know without knowing
I
what a
guess I
sea curl
do.
is. And so she's been begging me all summer, and I was like, okay, well, let's look around. And so
So
that we
she
go,
wants it permanently done, is
she
the
wants it
difference.
permanently
Yeah.
done.
Okay.
Yes.
And she has, by the way, beautiful, long, dark, thick hair. I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous hair, both you girls.
Yes, they do. And I wish they'd give it to me. And so
Yes.
anyway, we're going on tangents here. And so we go to our normal salon and he was like, "No, we don't do that here." And he he grabs her lock and says her hair is too beautiful, it will damage
Oh,
it. We don't believe in doing that to girls this age, and so we don't do it. I was like, "Oh, that's great." And then she left mad and she was like,
of
"I still want
course.
it done." So I was like, "Well, let's go."
Right.
So one day we went to five different salons in the area.
You're such a nice dad. I would have been like, done, not doing that.
Right? But she's got a cute face and puppy dog eyes. So I was like,
Yeah.
let's go around. So we went did the other five salons we went to all basically said the same thing. They were like,
Really?
your hair is too good, you're too young, it'll damage your hair and it'll be really expensive. They're like, it'll be like an extra 200 euros on
Oh my
top of the
God.
cut. And you're gonna be here like 4 or 5 hours. And like I was like, oh,
Oh.
Spain, like America. I mean, I don't know. In my experience, I think in salons in America, we're like, yeah, we'll do it. Give us the money. Here,
Right.
they're like,
I
no,
would
we don't
imagine.
recommend it. They're like, it won't last. It's a waste of money. Like they were all talking about they were all more concerned about her well being, and I think my
Mm-hmm.
pocketbook. Thank you for that. But it was their
Side effect, I would
side
say.
effect. So she left angry, but she had heard it
Yeah.
from enough sources that and they're like, hey, we're gonna do it. It's gonna last for what? 3 weeks, a month? It's not
Oh,
gonna
that's all
last.
it's going to last for as well?
So
It's
from what I
not.
understand, if we have any hairdressers out there that want to prove me wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
what they were saying is because it's such the end portion of the hair, it
Right.
won't like hold like if you do the whole tress from the
Oh, I
root.
see. Okay,
You're
that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I think it's also a good lesson for them to learn that some of these things have a lasting effect, right? It's not
hmm
just like you're watching somebody that has this. There are side effects and things to some of these things. So, a good life lesson for her, I guess.
Well, and I do have to say, speaking of the life lessons of this whole thing, it was one of the salons lady says, yeah, but you realize that's just an Instagram moment. This isn't really happening. Like these girls are getting it and can afford it, and it's for Instagram. It's not for life.
Right. And they also might just be doing it with a hair curler and pretending
Right.
that it's permanent. Like, who knows, right? I mean,
Exactly.
there's no way of knowing if someone's spending hours every morning getting this done themselves. So this goes into what we're talking about, as I'm sure everybody knows, is we're just going to talk a little bit about some of the costs of things that kids need or want or you want to give them here. So we're
Right.
just going to give you a little bit of a sort of breakdown of various costs that you may come across and you may decide to do or may not. And there
For
we
their
go.
upkeep. For their
Further
upkeep.
upkeep. I mean, since we were talking about hair, we could just start on that because I mean, I think it's funny that a haircut here is generally about 30, 35
hmm
euros. That's
I
been my experience.
Right. Same with me. We paid 35 since we've been here. Now they do charge more for like hair treatments and like the hair
Right.
washing for our salon was like an extra 9 euros for the hair. But she had a hair mask. It wasn't just even a shampoo.
Oh
So she
yeah.
was gone for like 30 minutes just getting this hair treatment for 9 bucks.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
was like,
And I
oh,
think also the blow drying is extra. And so, I mean, I'd never come out with a 30, 35 euro
right.
bill, but you could go in, get your hair cut and leave without it being blow dried for 35. And it
Right.
seemed, the prices for Xena seems to be the same. I mean, she's older. I'm maybe a very tiny toddler. They have special places, but it seems to
Right.
be an across the board kind of there's a cut price, and then there's all these other things you're going to end up with. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we in that looking around at different salons, I was also asking their haircuts because we need to get one done, and our normal salon didn't have an opening before school. We waited to the last minute for some of this stuff, by the way. And they were all 27 to like 40. It was like that still third, you know, we were coming in that range, right? And so,
which I think is surprising. I mean, in America, you can spend thousands for a haircut, right? I mean, hundreds in a regular high-end salon would I would imagine. So it's very reasonable, I think.
And you know, I don't know about you, but my girls only get haircuts like twice a year. It's like twice a year, but because they just want long hair, so it's just when the ends look bad.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm getting out about $70 a year per child for the hair. I ain't bad, you know.
Same here. Yeah, it's nice when they want to grow their hair.
Yes.
That's all I gotta say. Okay, well, we can sort of.
So now they have their hair did. Now where are they going to show it off at? So we should go where they're going to school.
This will be more expensive than the haircut.
Right.
Well, actually not if you go to public school, I guess, but
no, exactly. We've talked about this before in our other Cost of Spain episode, but we wanted to have this one just be more about children. So, you know, if you've listened to the episode before, you know, this is the time to go get a coffee because we've mentioned school costs before. So,
and we will make it quick. We will scoot by this. Yes.
Okay, you have time to put sugar in your coffee. So anyway.
Yeah, don't go make the coffee. That's going to take too long.
Right.
So let's start we can start at the beginning, I guess, which is preschools. Well, nannies and babysitters are going to cost you around $12 to $15 an hour. So
that
if you're coming in,
what I've heard from my friends. Yeah.
Which, as a side note, you might also need this if you have kids or not. It's about the same price for a cleaner.
Right, exactly. That's kind of be like the minimum wage price, right? That's kind of like the starting for. You can even get like teens to tutor your kids at that price. Like that's kind of like an opening price, but yes.
Absolutely.
And then so you got babies and stuff. So we did the babysitters. Then you got to go into private, you know, the preschools, and the public preschools are about what, like 100 to like 250 a month or something like that, and then the privates are around 400 to 1,000 because some of these international private schools will start at the baby age. They'll have them, and it's not cheap.
Yeah, they're starting them very young, and it's a good way, I think, to get into the school. And I think that's why people are often going in that young. You're getting your kid in the school, and they have a spot at a young age. So there's a trick there if you're here that young, but it is a much more expensive way of having your kid go to preschool, obviously. But on the flip side, if you're not a native speaker, your kid will already have English going into kindergarten and stuff. So there's benefits, obviously.
I mean, the kids at my daughter's schools that have been there since baby, they even have accents because they're learning by some English accents, right? So their accents are actually more American than they are Spanish with, you know, English speaking with a Spanish accent or British. It's because how they're hearing it from different places when they talk to us. I'm like, you have such a little accent. You don't even sound like you're from here speaking English, right?
I'm going to be honest, and I've seen a mishmash of that. I've seen kids that have been there since preschool, and they still have a very strong accent. So I think, I do think overall accents will depend on your language talents and your ear and your ability to hear those things. It's like, do you have a talent in that area? And then going on to regular school, obviously the public schools are free. And you will have to be provided a spot somewhere. That's the legal thing in Spain, I think, from age 6, I think.
6 to 16, they have to be guaranteed a spot. Yeah. And they have to go.
And they have to go. Yeah, it's not like you have a spot and you don't go. Like, they have to go. And then you have private school. Oh, you have concertado schools, which can range between 100 and 500. So those are semi-private schools. Like I said, we've talked about this before, but so that's semi-private, and then the private schools, which
can be, I mean, those can be anywhere from, well, here, right? So it depends. Like, you know, so you can, like, Spanish private schools might come in around 5,000, 6,000 a year, maybe lucky if lower. Your international schools in Valencia area are going to be about 8,000 a year plus costs and all that stuff. And then as they progress, they get higher.
It does get more expensive, yeah.
But if you're going to look in Madrid and you're going to look in Barcelona, you're going to be spending 20,000 a year. Because when we did the move, I looked and interviewed mini schools, and it was in that 20,000 range. And I think there's a couple in Marbella that are a lot higher, but that's Marbella money. So
yeah, they are easily 5 to 10 grand more. Yeah. in other areas. So look in the different areas, different parts of Spain, and maybe in areas of northern Spain they might be similar to here. I don't know.
Right.
So that is a difference. And then when you get into the universities, you have the public universities are very, very reasonable about. I do think they are around 3,000 a year.
But I think that's including your expenses. I think that's kind of like your out of pocket, like what you'd expect to spend for the year.
Yeah, but I don't think that
not for room and board.
No. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, you're not living. You're not also living for that. That's just the cost of it.
That's your fees and your fees and things. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we won't even talk about America because obviously that's outrageous. But the cost if you go to another country here, if you're here and you go to another country in Europe, that's probably a different cost to going to say England, and that might be more like 10,000-20,000 a year, I think. So
England is like 10,000 or more a year, right? Somewhere around there. Now I do have friends that they got their daughter into the American University of Paris, and it was exponentially cheaper than going to American University. Still, but I think they were like 20,000, but they had financial aid. Does the UK offer financial aid and scholarships? Is that a thing there?
They grants they offer. Yes, they do. But I don't know. This is what I think we're getting out of our depth here a little bit, because there's going to be, if you are actually still living in Spain and you're resident here, you're going to have a different cost to the other universities in Europe, and England is no longer part of Europe. So now you're really a foreigner going into a university there. And I don't know if you'd be able to get that going in there like that. So I have no idea, but it will be a little bit more expensive, I think, certain places. But obviously living here, going to your local university is going to be the cheapest thing.
That's the cheapest thing. And I'll say we can come back to this. Let's put a pin in this, because my daughter's in, her sophomore year, as it were, in America. So this is the year we're starting to research stuff. So maybe we could do an update, and then like at the end of this year, be like, we're going to start looking at narrowing down things and what our choices are. So put a pin on that, people.
And also, and when we do get into that, there are a lot of English programs in universities around Europe. So as a foreigner, if your kids have come later and they haven't learned Spanish fluently, there are programs like that. So we will do a whole university section when we know more. Right now, not so much. Let's get into the fun things, which is the things. But also,
the one thing we forgot with the schools is you do have to pay for uniforms, like private schools. So those will add up. Yeah, so that'll add another couple hundred for the year for the uniforms.
If your school has uniforms. They don't all have uniforms. Yeah.
And some schools make you pay for books. Some it's included in the tuition. Same with computers and tablets, right? So our school, we have to pay, and we have to have iPads and a certain specification. So that's a $1,000. Also, if you do have, talk to your schools, if you are lucky to have gotten into a school before you move, to check in what they need, and if you have to provide it, and then do a worldwide search of the cost of that, because iPads were much more expensive in Spain than back in the US. But now with tariffs, who knows? Things could be cheaper here now.
That might have changed. So, and it's very different from school to school. Like, we didn't have a uniform, and now we do, because we changed schools. But then the computers were given by the school, the books were given by the school, everything else. So I mean, we had a materials cost of around 480, I think it was, a year, that covered some of this stuff. So there will be a fee you have in school if you're going to a private school to re-enroll every year, and then there's also a materials cost. And then you just get into the fees. And then on top of that, you personally would have uniforms and the things that you have to provide. So it is going to vary. All these things vary quite a little bit between different schools.
But they want to have fun.
But they do want to. So now let's get into something that's actually fun that you don't have to pay for, which is extracurricular activities, which you might still want to, but you don't have to.
You mean you're not required to have your children have fun doing these things, but you are required to pay when you do them.
No. But I want to point out that you are not required to put your kids in extracurricular activities. It may feel like you do, but you don't.
You can be just a good enough parent. You don't have to do all.
No, but I will say we had a parent that was doing free basketball training in our school, and that was an after school activity, and he and another parent were just like, let's just get the kids together, and he enjoyed basketball. So that was a fun free activity, which I think is, sometimes parents do things like this. You never know. And also, let's start with the lowest cost, maybe, and then we can move up. So we have the regular rec center, which is called a polideportivo in Spanish, or a poly, you can call it a poly. And in Valenciano, it is a polieportiu, I guess. So slightly different. You might see both things if you're looking around this area for information.
Okay.
And you can do pretty much anything in these places. I mean, some of them have pools. You can do tennis, basketball, gymnastics. I mean, they have a range of things.
So, like, comparing it to, like, the States, it would be like your Parks Department rec center kind of place.
It would be like a YMCA or something.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
you've got, depending on where it is and how much money they put into it, will depend on what they offer. And some of them are really nice, some of them maybe not so nice, but still perfectly fine. And for the one, Zena did a gymnastics in one, and it was a €5 sign up just to get into their little system.
Okay.
And then the gymnastics was, I think, 15 or 20 a month just to kind of go, and it was twice a week. And then I think as you get better and you do more, it could go up to like €30 a week.
Okay.
And then I do have a friend that's doing tennis, and they're paying $105 a month for 2-day training.
Okay.
And that's 2.5 hours each of those days. And that's probably
not
also
a bad price.
Not a bad price at all for tennis. And you can probably do more. There might be options for that. So they offer, a lot of things. It's definitely worth looking, especially if your kid just wants to try something. It's a great place to try, and it's a great place to practice
perfect place
Spanish.
to try because you're not contractually signed. Like,
Right.
like at our school, they have some of these things offered during the school day, but then they're like, once you sign up, you're at least paying for the term, right? So it's
Right. Yes, through
so
school,
you're paying
for
for 3
sure.
months at a time, you know. So if they come
Yeah.
home, I don't want it. Well, guess what? You're gonna love it because I've paid $300 for the next 3 months.
So you're not.
to do
I'm
it.
not the only one that's had that discussion with my child.
Oh no, we paid. You're going.
Right. And I will say, even with the poly ones, I'm like, look, you committed. At least give it some time to try. You know,
Right.
but it is less of a dagger if they are like, we don't want to do it anymore.
You can't hate something on the first day. You've got to spend at least a month or two to find out if you really hate it, because you may love it. So
I have to say it's never worked out that way, but at least they had some lesson and commitment, right?
But see, you live in an urbanization where we do not, because we live in the city. So people know urbanization means like planned community, suburby type thing. It doesn't mean you're urban. It means they've urbanized
It's the opposite
the country, right?
of urban.
It means rural. It means a lot of houses on a small street in a rural place, right? Or a community. But those have private clubs, which we don't have access to in the city. I'm sure there's private clubs in the city, but like you'd have to search them out. I know there's private tennis clubs and stuff, but you have like clubhouses for your community.
So
right?
there is a range of it. So there's private clubs like golf courses. People will be familiar with this scenario, I think, in America, where they have a planned community around a golf course, and people that live around that golf course can probably join the club, but otherwise they also take people from other places to come and play golf and all that kind of thing. It's
Right.
a little bit like that. So like in our urbanization, we don't have a golf course, but we have tennis courts, we have a little restaurant, there's a kids playground, there's, you know, some football, like concrete football pitches, that type of thing. So lots of places for kids to run around. We have to pay €3 to use the tennis courts.
Okay.
And there's also a fee in the urbanization that goes into the keep up and everything of that. And
Okay.
but that's very, very minimum. There are places that have full on pools, like really proper, I would say more proper like club places where it's
and people are dressed to the nines to go there kind of places.
it's nice, yeah. These I mean it's like they're an enclosed place. Like ours is kind of not so enclosed. It's kind of an area in the urbanization, right? Whereas some of these are like enclosed clubs with pools and tennis courts, paddle courts, like, you know, big football places and restaurants, nice restaurants and playgrounds and basketball courts and everything. And those are places where in some cases you have to be living in that community to actually be a member. And some of them will let other people in, but that's a place that if you do live in an urbanization with one of these places, you might have access to a lot of sports, but you don't have to pay to go to the pool, but you're paying for the club. And then you will have to pay extra for tennis and things, but it might be more convenient to you than going somewhere outside, especially as we've spoken before, a lot of the schools don't offer extracurricular activities.
Right.
So if you're living out of the city and you can go pick up your kid and get them home, and then they can just walk to your club and get all their stuff done. That's going to be a lot more convenient. So that is an option versus driving them again, being the chauffeur to some other place in another town to do classes. Right. It's an option. And some of those clubs would be, I think probably you're going to be €60 is going to be probably the cheapest for a proper club, and they can probably go up to, I don't know what the ones with golf courses and things charge. I have no idea.
Right. Now, you talked about doing gymnastics at the Deportivo Palatacalacapacapa place. My Spanish is getting so good. And
Polideportivo.
That's what I said. Pay attention.
Yes, that is exactly what you said.
Have you ever paid for private, private gymnastics classes?
Yes, we did, because the gymnastics was very fun and it was a great way to learn and sort of see if Zena really wanted to do it, and it was really fun. But then she really wanted to take it a bit more seriously. So we found a gym that just did gymnastics, and they did an array of like regular gymnastics, the silks, the whole, they did a whole bunch of things. And that one we paid around, I think, like $33 a month or something for that one. And that was a very specific, there were two classes a week. And that one was very specific that you were doing competition. So you had to show up. You were very, very, very serious. Like, show up for these classes. You can't not come. You have a partner you need to practice with. And it wasn't an option of like, how many classes do you want to take? Like a lot of sports is like, well, how many do you want to do? You want to do 2? You want to come on a Saturday? You don't want to come on a Saturday? And you get charged per month based on how many times you're showing up, right?
And that's the difference, right? Do you want to expose your child to the thing, or do you want them to compete, right? So that is a completely different setups, right?
Completely different setup for it, yeah. And one of your daughters did gymnastics in the city as well, right?
Well, she does. She currently still does
the aerial
silks. Yeah, she does the silks. And we pay €40 a month, and it's just 1 hour a week. So there's the price comparisons of the suburbs. So it's almost, theoretically it's twice the price here, because it's half the time for around the same price.
Can she do more if she wanted?
She can do more, and then they drop the price if you add more classes, right? So if she doubled up, it wouldn't be 80. I think it would be like 65 or something like that, right?
Yes. So there are places for certain things where you can maybe buy packs of classes or something, and you can bring the price down a little bit.
Right. Packs, or you commit to, whether or not you show up, you commit to, this is something we're going to take. But then my older daughter does ballet. So we've kind of done the array. When we first arrived, she was doing it 3 days a week. And now she's doing conservatory, which is 6 days a week. So that's a whole different thing. But like when she was doing 3 days a week at the same ballet conservatory school, she just wasn't in the conservatory program, right?
Oh, I see. Okay. So they offer both.
They offer both. Like, you still have to have the correct uniform and all that stuff, and you still are in the performance. It's still, you're just not getting a degree, but it's still a conservatory school. It's still a ballet school that you are committed. You have to be there. But you can choose also, especially with the younger girls, how often they're going. If it's once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, they offer that, because that's at the younger age in ballet schools. They're exposing them, and then if they are good and they commit, then it's like at a certain age, you're either in conservatory, or you don't. You stay with. You have to find a less stringent school, or you stay with the young kids. You're not going to progress. But anyway, she was doing 3 days. It was like $180 a month, but now that she's doing 6, it's $280 a month. So it's like, it was a huge discount for the amount of time she's there in the conservatory program.
Right, and I think what we're seeing here is a sort of a level of commitment which can change it when sports get serious. The prices can change. So
they do, yes.
Like for instance, if you have a kid that wants to do football, it's unlikely that the football in the school, if they really want to be competitive in football, it's unlikely the football that's provided in one of the private schools is going to be enough. And so if you go out and you're in one of the football leagues that's in one of the towns that you're in or cities, you're going to be paying around $400 to $500 a year for that. And then also, and this is probably the same for like a serious outside of school basketball, anything like that. You're going to be in that range. And then the uniform might cost you 30 to 60 euros as well.
Right. And with dance, you have to pay for uniforms and the uniforms for the dance recitals and all of that.
Right, that's true. And and we had to pay extra for the gymnastic competition leotard things as well. So that was obviously an extra if you're getting into things that are a bit more serious. But yeah, the cost of the football, obviously, I mean, everyone's experience is the same in America. This is going to be a 2 to 4 time a week activity. This isn't something you're doing one day a week. So you're probably really getting your money's worth in that regard, but it is a commitment for the whole family.
For the whole family, yes.
Yeah, as well. Probably the ballet is a commitment for the whole family in a different way, because it's such a commitment now if you're as serious as your daughter is at it.
Right. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
This is my exposure to like extra clubs. Have you done anything else, like anything exotic? Because I mean, we've done exotic things. I think exotic, but not in the sporty world. Have you done any other kind of?
I won't ask. So when we moved here, Zena's always been really into animals in general, and she loves riding. So coincidentally, not on purpose, we ended up in an area here north of Valencia that is just horse stables everywhere. So we did some horse riding for a bit, and that was definitely one of those ones that's a lot more expensive. So it's about 25 a class, more or less.
Okay.
But that is one of the ones where you can buy packs and maybe get it down to like 17 if you want to pay for maybe 10 classes at a time. So that's showing, again, the same thing as you were talking about. If you're showing some commitment to coming, they can bring the price down a little bit. But horse riding is going to be expensive, and you also need proper equipment for it. And one of the places we went to, they had helmets and whatever, not the horse riding. Oh my God, what are they called?
They're helmets.
They're not called helmets though. They're like riding hats, I think, or something. I don't remember. They have those that you can just use. You don't have to buy everything. Obviously, if your daughter or your son gets very much more into it, you would start buying your own equipment like that. They also have the vests that have the support for the back. That's all things that you can just borrow until you want to get your own. And to that end, one of my favorite shops, Decathlon, for the attempted starting of sporting activities.
Yes. They have the $10 tennis racket and the $300 tennis racket, right?
In every sport.
Not dollar, but euros, but yes.
Yeah, in every sport. So whatever sport you're getting into, you can find a really cheap entry item.
Right.
And then give it to a friend when your kid has given it up, or go back and buy something that's better for a more serious activity, you know. So I do love that about the shops. It's very, very handy. But also, for sure, look at secondhand places around the city through friends, through your school, if your kid's starting
the
something.
Apps and the WhatsApp groups and all those
somebody is sitting with that stuff in their closet for sure.
Someone's hopes and dreams have died, and you can take from that.
And please pass it on when, you know, if your kid does the same thing.
So we're still trying to better our children. Now, have you paid for like private Spanish lessons or any of those kinds of things in the house?
Yes, we've done a little bit of summer camps and a little bit of private tutoring, and we've found the tutoring is around 10 to 25 is kind of what we found for kids.
Okay.
We had one teacher that was doing it 10 euros a kid, but she was doing groups.
And this was for like a subject or like Spanish classes?
Spanish specifically. We haven't done any tutoring outside of Spanish. And yeah, but I think the pricing was sort of it's around the same range as
it is. We've looked into
else,
tutors, and I've talked to parents. Actually, just yesterday I was talking to a group of parents about like school tutoring, and they're like, yeah, we pay $15 an hour.
Yeah.
And it's 2 hours a week, so we're paying, $30. But so that's the price, I think, for any of your tutoring, your private tutoring.
I would imagine. I mean, we haven't got into any serious needs for exams and things like that. So I don't know. I would imagine that's going to be very similar. And like, I think one of those things where you might, especially for any of this tutoring, depending on the level of your child, another student or college student that's trying to make some extra money is probably going to be on the lower end of that range, and then a professional person will be on the higher range. So,
right.
Yeah, you might just need your kid to be speaking Spanish, and it may not matter who's doing it. They just need to be inspiring, But if you're studying for a very serious exam of some sort, then a professional.
Right.
Might
And
be
then
what
there's
you
the
need.
day camps. And
Have
so
you done any? Have your kids
we have
done
not.
any
I mean,
yet?
we get offered at our school the day camps are more in the 250 range at the school, and then you have to pay more if you need them to be bused. So you're really looking at like 400 a week. That's through the private
If you
international
need the
school.
bus. We
If you need the
did
bus.
the Spanish camp at your school, and it was very good, and Zena loved it because it was a lot of it was indoors, and these camps are in the summer. It's hot.
It's
so
hot, yeah.
she's not into these let's play sports all day out in the baking heat. So
Right.
she actually really loved the Spanish camp at your school. It was wonderful. They did a little, jump in the pool and stuff
the
like
pool,
that.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so for us I think it was around like 230 a week or something like that. And then we've done very little sports camp at some of these clubs that we were talking about earlier, and I want to say that was around 110 or something a week. And I mean, they were just running around doing sports.
And this was at like the urbanization clubs or
yes,
the polydeportivos?
one of the urbanization clubs. I don't know if I'm assuming these polydeportivos do camps as well, but we haven't tried them.
Okay.
So as far as other day camps, I mean, I would imagine 250 a week if it's a day camp that you're sending your kid back and forth to would be a good range to be imagining. And then on top of that, like you said, getting your kid there and back and these sorts of things.
Right.
We don't have any experience with overnight camps.
I just see the ads from my school, so I just know.
Right.
And ours, I will say, they're in like that 2,000, like 1,500 range per week. But these are really like specialized sports camps in Mallorca, like the tennis one at which we call its place. Who's ever done? The guy that's
Nadal.
Thank you, that's him. And or going to Austria for German camp for a week.
Right. So
those
that's
are
very fancy things.
Yeah.
I would imagine you can probably do an overnight camp for 400 to 700, maybe.
Yeah.
A week, perhaps. But not having had that experience, I think, and like you were saying, they have all sorts of camps in all sorts of places. We had a friend who sent their child out to a camp in, I think it was somewhere in Holland, and that was a camp about being an international child, and it wasn't a sport. It had some sports, but it had some other sort of activities in it as well. And I so there's a lot of different things that you can find here.
Right. And I will say what I have been looking at these super clubs, because sometimes I fantasize my kids will be gone for a couple of weeks in the summer and I'll have independence and freedom. Never happens. But
you do have to put them together in the same camp somewhere, or at least at the same time.
Right.
If you want that freedom. It's like, oh, no, I'm sorry, the camp for this girl is in July and this one is in August. It's not.
But what I've noticed is these camps and a lot of them, they're not all inclusive. So they may, if you want extra activities, you're paying. So maybe you're paying for a football camp, but if you want them to be able to use the pool while they're there, that might be more, or take extra football lessons, right? There might be a minimum that comes with it, but if you want an addition to it, or if you're at a language camp, but you want them to do tennis while they're there, they're going to add on. They do nickel and dime you with the add-ons.
I'm just going to send Zena to my brother and see what happens, Of course, I'll get 3 kids back the next summer from him, but I'm sure that'll even out, and I think that'll be fun. We'll have fun there.
All right, so we've gotten them educated, we've gotten them well-rounded. Now we should probably talk about once they trip and fall and broke their leg, those costs, right? The healthcare and other needs.
Which will not be as much as they are in America for sure. Our extra costs in that regard have been zero because we haven't had some of the things that you, I think, are going to be better equipped to talk about, which is orthodontics. I think you should start to talk about dental care. Because what we've needed has just been what's under our plan. So
yeah, we're a house full of metal here. So we have. So when the greatest thing for me was the orthodontics, because both girls have braces. I have Invisalign, and I paid $6,000 total for the 3 of us, which is exponentially cheaper. It would have been like 18,000.
I was going to say, do you have any idea what that would cost in the States? Around
I did, because
18,000?
my oldest was starting the process, and they're like, now she'll need braces, and that'll be $6,000, $7,000.
Okay. So what was her individual? Can you split it up a little bit?
So I would say you should expect about $3,000 per child for where we went to the orthodontist.
Okay.
Basically, what they did is they charged me for 2, and my Invisalign was thrown in for free. That was kind of like how they did. So that you will get discounts if you buy the whole family at once, and if you pay up front. So my 2-year plan, I paid for up once, and we go in, and it's just in and out the door, all the appointments we need. So it's,
okay, so that's good advice, because some people might be thinking about starting in another country and then carrying on here. You'd be better just to wait and do it here. And
Much
you've
better.
been very happy with the experience, and you feel
Very
like the dental
happy.
care is very, very good.
I have no problems. One's getting hers off in a couple months, maybe a month or two, and the other one by the end of the school year. So we're very happy. They're both very happy.
And then that cost was start to finish, so there's not any extra cost related to that.
Nothing. They break brackets. I don't have to pay. Nothing is. I know in LA it was like this. So if you broke this, this has to come in, and so I've been very happy. I mean, like I said, that savings alone was half of our expenses for the year here. I would have spent in LA. Do you know what I mean? Like
That's
I was
true.
like,
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
So when it comes to like regular dental care, our insurance covers, I think 1 or 2 cleanings a year and like 1 X-ray thing per year, but it doesn't cover fillings and stuff like that. So
ours covers 1 cleaning and 1 X-ray. So that's probably yours is probably the same.
But we've had to pay for extra cleanings, so I prefer to have extra cleanings. You're like 3 or 4, and so I pay $60 for an additional cleaning outside of my insurance, and I think cavities were like $60 as well per cavity. So
that's
not
still
exorbitant.
very reasonable. And I will say you can talk to your insurance and find out you can get extra dental insurance. We've talked about this on another episode, but I'll just sort of give a little bit of an information here on that, which is you can get more, but you just have to see, like what you were saying, what are you actually going to be spending, and what is the cost of the extra insurance. And it may not work out to have it, but it is something that if you know you're going to need a lot more than maybe what you're doing, that it's worth getting the extra dental insurance. And it's not required for any visas or anything, but it might save you money.
It might save you money. And orthodontics is not covered. I haven't found an insurance company that
I don't
covers.
think so. Yeah, that's going to be out of pocket. Yeah. And then eye care, again, we get, as an adult, which Xena doesn't have, obviously, but as an adult, we have one of those eye exams at the hospital, like a proper eye exam.
Yeah, my daughters go to that. They've had their eye. They get one a year there.
Yeah, and then I've paid €75 for glasses. You're basically just paying for whatever glasses you want to get. I don't wear glasses all the time. It's just a pair of reading glasses, so I wasn't going crazy about it. But I think that cost of glasses might be the same as it is. I mean, you can spend a little bit or a whole lot.
I'm a contacts glassware, and the prices are about the same. I mean, for glasses, it's the same. And Gucci glasses are Gucci glasses. If you have to have Gucci glasses, they're going to be Gucci prices. If you want, what I haven't found here, and I'm looking, is back in the States. There's a website called, I'm going to just plug it, Glasses USA, right? 1-800 glasses, one of those kinds of things, and you can get like a 10-pack of really fun, funky glasses that are not going to last. Like they're fast fashion glasses, but they come out to like $30-$50 a piece, and you get them, and you don't care if they break, but they're cool and fun. I'm trying to find that site here because I like to have a bunch of glasses I can throw on and be cute and fun.
Well, you can buy, like, in the pharmacies, in normal, they had glasses.
No, I'm talking like, real glasses, not reading glasses, like real.
Oh, okay, real glasses. Like, so you with your prescription on them, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
If you just need glasses to see certain things, like reading glasses, you can buy those everywhere for nothing.
Right, you can buy those at the Chinese store for sure. I'm talking about like fun fashion prescription seeing glasses, but. So if anyone has a tip of what's the website for Europe to get, fashion glasses for cheap, let me know. Anyway, so that's my experience with the healthcare and stuff. We thankfully haven't had to go to the emergency room, but there's no cost with them with insurance and stuff.
No, there's no cost for that. So that works. And then if you're in the Spanish healthcare system, then you've got a variety of ways to have pretty major things taken care of without it costing you anything. And that would also include. There are some in our private insurance. We do have some therapy included if you can find a therapist that speaks your language and things. But
we've discussed that before.
We've discussed that before too. So there's a cost to that if you are going to just take care of that yourself.
Right, which is much cheaper than I had found in the States. Right, so you can therapist about $50 to $75 an hour here privately. So that is cheap, but it's an expense. I mean, that is an expense, and that goes in expense. Yeah. And if your children need any sort of their therapies or the occupational therapy, if they have learning
disabilities
or challenges, because it's not, some of them just challenges, they need new tools, so it's more of an occupational learning therapy kind of thing, right? Those are around 50 to 75 an hour.
That's a very reasonable price, and obviously you're going to have a much more variety if you pay for it privately, because a lot of these places are not going to be on the plans for the insurance, so you'll have much more variety of languages and things for that.
Right.
I think that covers healthcare and those things.
That's the important stuff. And...
Okay, you say that. Okay. We can't say that's the important stuff, because the important stuff is birthday parties. Okay, that's the important stuff.
Is that the important stuff?
That is the important stuff.
Okay.
In this house, we take birthday parties very seriously.
Birthdays are important, but you're still, so you have in between our age, and you've been here longer, so you have experience with this. I don't have experience when it comes to like birthday parties and stuff. We've done them at the house, but I haven't been here the younger ages where birthday parties are more of a invite the class, bigger thing. Here now it's 3 friends or whatever.
Well, we have stopped inviting the class part, but there's still also, I think the big difference between you and I is that you're in the city and we're outside the city, and people outside the city are taking advantages of a lot of event places and things that you can find, whereas in the city, we've talked about this a little bit before. It's quite hard for you to get your girls out to birthday parties that are thrown by people like us out here.
In Sagunto on a Monday at 6. You're like,
exactly.
How do you think that's going to happen? Right.
So maybe, but that is what is going on. If you're living outside the city, they have the trampoline places. There's these...
The go-kart place that we mentioned before that we still have yet to go to.
Yeah. And then they have these clubs that we were talking about. If you're a member of a club, or if you're in an urbanization with a restaurant, there's most likely a room that you can book. You probably don't have to pay for it, and you just have to book it, and then you can throw a party in one of those places, and you bring your own food, or you get food from the restaurant and do whatever you want, with that space.
And then the kids can play around in the pitches and things like that.
Yeah. So we've done like Halloween parties and birthday parties where we've booked one of those rooms, and we've put everything out and decorated the room and the outdoor sort of terrace area of the room, and then the kids just come in and out, run in and out, and get food and leave and disappear, and the parents are really the ones having the party in that room, because the kids are out running around doing their thing. So that's like a fun way to do it. And then that's just the cost of the fact that you have to have a membership, and then the cost of food. The jump places are about 20 euros per kid, and you will have a minimum probably of like 10 kids that you have to do for to have.
Now, do they include the food in that price? Is there like a party plan, or do you have to bring your own food?
I think it's like a party plan, but it's going to be like pizza and the cake and a cake. And Zena's always like, the cake's not very good. I mean, it's like what do they call those cakes that you get at the supermarket in America? There's
just
a name for them.
Cake.
Sheet cake. Thank you. Yeah. It's like a sheet cake, and then pizza and maybe some chips. It's very just basic, but they're really, really fun. The kids are exhausted. They're bouncing everywhere and jumping, and that's been a very fun party, which your kids may have been too old for those sorts of things. Plus in the city, I don't know if you have them.
No, there's not. I mean, you have to go out, and they're not. Some of them aren't that far. I mean, you could take a cab to them, but like when people say we're having a birthday party in Sagunto on, like I said, on a Monday, you're like, that's not going to happen. But if they're like, it's in Paterna, and you're like, oh, we can't get there by cab. We can't get there by train, but we can take the cab. Yeah, I'll take you by cab.
You'll
that's
do
fine.
It right. Yeah. Well, you got to try and find a friend that's carpooling. We did one of Zena's birthdays was a very nice place, and now I can't remember the name of it, and I should really plug it because it was amazing. It was a very little painting shop or whatever where you can go in and learn how to paint, and the artist is there, and they do events. They do like the paint and sip things that are very popular, but they also do kids parties, but it's small, so they have a maximum, I think, of like 8 kids. And they all paint something, and they get taught how to paint something, and like Zena went in and picked the painting that she wanted everybody to do, and everybody left with the same painting that they had painted, and then they stop in the middle and did some food and cake, and it was just really, really nice. And that was around 25 per person, and then I obviously bought the food and I bought the cake, but that was a limited that was a limited thing because you couldn't have so many people.
Right.
Yeah. So I think the birth, and then I don't know that Zena went to a birthday party at one of the escape rooms, which we haven't gone. Fun. So I don't know how much that cost actually, because I don't know how much the escape rooms are.
Right. I haven't been to one.
Yeah, but cheaper, I think, than the ones that we had gone to in Alexandria, I believe. But that's that's a fun way to have a birthday party.
And there's a lot of escape rooms because I see them pop up on my Google Maps from I'll type E and there's like escape room and start popping up, right? So there's a lot here. So what's been your experience? Since it's a different culture, we've talked about this before, but let's put it in this episode. The experience of like birthday presents and how you're paying, like what are you doing? And my daughters, I'm bringing this up. My older one, it's transitioned. They're having like 3 girls meet for lunch and they kind of pay for themselves. And they might bring a bottle of like face cream or something, right? Like it's
right.
I'm probably spending $30 per birthday for my older daughter because there's a gift and maybe they're paying for their portion of the lunch as well, right?
Oh, really? Okay. So they're actually going Dutch on the birthday party. That's interesting. I haven't seen that. Yeah, we haven't quite reached that level yet. That's probably coming. For the younger kids, which I love, and it was something that I had to get used to because I honestly felt like it was a bit weird at the beginning, which is that you have invited the whole class, or it's a really big party with the friends from school and friends from outside of school, and instead of bringing a gift, you just give the parent, or you Zoom the parent, like €10. And it's something that if you've been invited to a birthday party and you're on the WhatsApp group probably for the birthday party at that point, and they'll say, you can bring a gift, or if you want, you can Zoom me, which is just to send money, through the bank.
Right.
€10.
I think this is the most brilliant thing I've ever heard of in my entire life.
It should be everywhere.
It should be everywhere. And how this is not a thing, because I will tell you, I mean, it was back in the States with the young kids, right? Because that's the birthday party. I had like 3 twisters, 3 Connect 4s that had so many pieces of tape on it. Because by the time we were all just regifting each other the same Connect 4 that to each party, because we already had one at home and everyone's giving the same gift. And I would much rather have had the 10, 15, $20 you spent on that gift to buy something better. And after we've moved and, as you know, got rid of everything, you're like, $10 I could have had,
so
$10 I could have had, $10 I could have had. And you're like, I just got rid of $380,000 worth of junk that I could have had in my
that
pocket.
were birthday presents. No, it's so true. And what will usually happen is the parent might say, oh, they've wanted to buy this thing and it's something that costs 150 euros or something, or they wanted to buy this collection of things. So you're participating in a bigger gift for that child that child has decided they want. And I think it's amazing. I will say, especially for boys. I mean, I can buy presents for girls until the cows come home. It's so easy. But boys, it just starts getting really, really difficult, in my opinion. And maybe because I don't have boys, so it's harder for me to know what they're interested in. But how many footballs can you have? I don't know.
Right.
So it kind of fixes a lot of problems. You don't have to go shopping. You don't have to wrap anything up. You don't, it's just brilliant.
Right. Be
prepared for that and take advantage of it.
This brings up something about the birthday parties that I forgot to mention earlier during our other arts and the classes that we were talking about, gymnastics.
Oh, right. All the extracurriculars, yeah.
I forgot to mention art. We didn't talk about art classes. And so for my youngest did ceramics, and it was $90 a month for the throwing where you formed the pottery with your hands. And then it was €100, euros, €100 a month for the wheel. And that was 4 classes a week, 2...
Wait, I'm sorry. It was 100 or 90 for throwing in the wheel.
Throwing in the wheel was 100. Molding the clay, like if you're doing the coil pottery, or rolling it out where you're building it. You're not.
So without the wheel, if you're not throwing and you're not using the wheel, it's cheaper.
It's cheaper, yes.
Got it. Yeah.
And that was for 4 classes a week, and I think they were 2 hours a week, and.
Can I just say that was really fun for all of us, because the stuff that you guys created was really fun, and you get to keep that, and you have beautiful pieces that you've all created from that. So I would say probably one of the best bangs for your buck as far as extracurricular activities.
Thing. I agree. It was the best thing. And I was going to actually say too that what was great about it, if you got fast hands, it was unlimited pieces. So it wasn't like you created one bowl a week. Like if you could roll out 50 glasses, they were gonna kiln those cups for you and and paint them. So it was I think a very cost effective. And I was like, oh, we need a salad bowl. Make a salad bowl
Make a
this
salad
week, honey.
bowl.
I don't want to buy one. And I have found
amazing.
other art classes to be around the same price.
Yeah.
And what was great is that everything was included in that price. You didn't have to a supply fee. All the clay was provided, all the glaze was provided,
and they glazed everything for you and fired everything for you. So you just end up sort of coming back for it when it's done.
Exactly. And some of
They
it's
were
being
really
done.
beautiful, really, really nice pieces, I have to say. So I was very jealous because there hasn't been. This is honestly one of the benefits I think of being in the city, is that there's more things like this. Like we do not. I've looked everywhere for a ceramics class. There's nothing near us. I would have to drive into the city for it. Yeah, and it's just not. That's not really feasible. So
No.
yeah. So that's a great. You definitely, to this point, you will have more access to more things in the city, which will end up costing you more money, but it's also nice. So just keep those two things in mind. There's a breakdown there, I think.
Yes. And I want to add, I think we've covered everything, but there is one thing that was a pleasant surprise to me, and is that we didn't have to pay for Santa. To me,
oh really?
That was like the most amazing thing. I found an email and said there's going to be a Santa in the city, and it was through the hospital, and they had a whole Santa village in the courtyard.
Oh, that's so cute.
Like a whole thing, and we went to that. What's the other thing is Santa's not a thing here, so there was no lines. Like there was just like 5 people, and we went there, and you didn't have to pay, and you were allowed to use your phone. I mean, because all you had to do was you had to bring your phone. Like they didn't have the camera.
Oh, okay. So they didn't have a whole. It wasn't. Sponsored,
it was not a money grab.
It wasn't sponsored by the company that's printing all the photos that you have to buy.
No, it was not a money grab.
Nice.
It was the hospital's like, we've got a Santa for you. Come on down. And,
that's nice.
And it was free, and used my phone, and it was an adorable event, and we had a good time. Of course, my kids hated me for taking them to it because they're too old.
I was going to say they're a little old for wanting to actually do that, probably. But
I'm
hey,
like, until you're all out of my house, we get pictures with Santa every year. And if you're
so
at
hopefully
college,
they do
you're
it
coming
again.
home. Yeah.
Hopefully Santa comes back this year and does it again, because we're usually in England over Christmas, so they have a lot more of that there than they do here. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that's a very, very good point. I think overall, you're going to find that things are not costing as much, but you have to just decide what your kid's interested in. And some people's kids are really interested in something. Like you have a daughter that's so into the ballet that you just can't not be doing that.
Right.
So, but I don't know what you would be paying for that in America. I would imagine.
Oh, it would be a lot more. It would be, for what the level she's doing, would be at least 3 times as much, if not. I mean, probably a lot more. I don't know. I mean, we were paying a lot more than that for just 2-3 times a week back in the States. I mean, I think I was paying like $600 a month. It was a lot. It was a lot that I was paying for. So when I saw the price here, I was like, of course you could do conservatory.
But then once you get used to it, you're like, do you really have to be doing it? Because once you've been here for a few years, you start looking at the prices with sort of fresh eyes of, can it be cheaper? Can it be,
I've said it once. I've said it before. That baguette used to be 62 cents, and it filled up the paper bag, and now it's 65, and you can fold the bag over, and I'm livid every time I buy it.
A sign of the times. But anyway, I think that's pretty much all we can think of things that we're spending on our kids or have spent, and that we can share to give you some insight in what things cost. So I hope it's been helpful.
I hope so too. And if you have any things you want to ask us about, we can try to answer. So drop us a line.
All right. All right. Hasta luego. Bye.
Hasta luego. Hey, can't get enough of us? Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Spain Podcast.
And on our website, ourspain.com, which we will be updating with exciting new things as we grow.
We would love for you to message us with any topics you would like to hear about.
See you next time.
Bye.